position, but from here, I'm going to apply pressure with the heel of my hand. My arm is just keeping the foot in neutral, but the pressure is coming from my hand and this hand. So as I push down, now I'm gonna start to rotate. So they both have a rotation, it's just that one's pushing and one's pulling, right? So Apley's compression. Any pain?
No.
Again, we might get some clicking, some popping, reporting of pain.
And so both your hands are just pushing down.
This one's really applying more of the force. This one's doing the rotation.
Okay.
Jala, what's the name of this testing again?
Apley's compression.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Can you lie on your back?
Kind of.
Spit it out.
Yeah, sorry, words. How, when we are testing the knee, are we just running through all these till we get a positive? Like, how do we pick which ones we're doing?
By the time you get to the special test portion of your testing or assessment, you will have done rule outs, you've done a whole intake, you've got your observations. You should have a hypothesis about what the injury or injuries are, which are then confirmed by your functional testing in some way, when they report pain with a particular movement. And then that should lead you to one or two special tests that you might choose to confirm your findings.
Okay.
So those special tests should come back positive. If they don't, you have to go back to the drawing board and see if you missed something.
However, by the time you need to apply these tests in real life, you will have had MSK class on most of the pathologies of the knee. So clinical assessment will come together with MSK, and you'll learn a lot more about why these things happen and what the different characteristics are that separate them from each other. So you'll have a much better idea of how to narrow it down if you want to. Okay. Yeah.
Another meniscal test, which I heard that some term for us have already showed you, is called the bounce home test. And so this is looking for, like, if the meniscus is torn and maybe folded inside of the knee joint, that you might not get the full range of motion into extension. So what you want to do is just passively take the knee, kind of build some trust, and then break it. So I'm dropping his knee because what I'm looking for is if
not guard around you again.
if this is called bounce home, so if it's like springy kind of like resistance or like into not full extension, so I get this kind of thing, that would be more of a positive and or pain. But
Wait, and that would be an unconscious movement from them? Or?
no, that there's something in the joint that's stopping the full range of motion into extension, like if the meniscus folded or torn. The other possibility, now this is really a meniscal test, but think about the fact that we're moving into full extension, so it could also be a positive for ACL, right? And then, okay. Can you roll up this Pele? The next one, you are never going to do in class. I do not want you to practice it in class. I do not want you to practice it on each other ever. I'm only showing you because you might have to do it at the OSCEs. That's the only reason. This test will be positive for probably 90% of the population. And the test itself,
Oh, no, I don't.
I'm not gonna do it to
Okay.
you.
Are you also showing
The
this one?
test itself is painful for most people and could cause more further damage.
I already have sensitive kneecap.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna do anything, so don't worry. It's called Clark's sign or the patellar grind test. How does that sound?
No, not good.
So do not do anything, you just
Okay.
remain relaxed, and I promise that this will not hurt if I just show the hand positioning. So what I'm doing is I'm trapping the base of the patella with the web space of my hand and putting a little inferior glide to it, but I'm also applying some pressure on the distal end of the femur to kind of hold that in place. From this position, if I had to perform it at the OSCEs, I would ask my patient, and do not do this, to contract their quadriceps by pushing the back of the knee into the table. What that does, because I'm blocking with my hand, is force the patella underneath my hand and it grinds the facets against the patellar surface. Again, it doesn't sound very comfortable. It's gonna be painful for most people, and then it could also further damage anything that was already damaged. Okay?
So when would that test be useful?
At the OSCEs, never.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
But what about in real life?
Don't do it, ever.
Okay. Okay.
And you're testing.
It doesn't, it's it's not like a helpful diagnosis of anything, because the positivity rate is so high that it's not reliable.
So at the OSCE, do you have to do one of these hundreds of tests? Either like do this test.
We get feedback, we shouldn't, but we often get feedback saying like, well, I got this test at the OSCEs. That's why we kind of teach to that standard. That's what we tend to put in the package so that you guys are prepared for whatever you might come across. It's just that this has come up before, and may come up again. I don't know anyone who thinks this is a good test to do on anybody.
Do we need to write them and tell them that this is, they need to stop doing this test?
If you can get through to the CMTO with anything, I'd be impressed. The only thing that I would say is just practice the hand position of just kind of trapping the patella, but do not have the person contract their quads. Okay?
But yeah, when you go to OSCEs, anything you're taught in clinical assessment and then anything you're taught in OSCE prep could come